The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By AutoStop. The new AutoStop is foolproof. Gray is over. And by the 2012 Ford F-150. Built Ford tough. Gorgeous views. Spring has sprung here in Martinsville. Half-mile racetrack, short track racing. Crowd starting to fill into the stadium here.
You know, at Daytona, we have nice blimp shots. Here we can have somebody, stand on top of the garage here and get the whole racetrack in one shot.
Yeah, great short track racing. And one of the other things that this affords us the opportunity to do is we had a camera crew and we listened in to Jeb Burton's first foray into the Camping World Truck Series, and we want you to follow along. Listen up.
So help him out right now about what he's getting ready to go do. I'm going to the stand. Take care of your truck, go fast.
They gave you a radio with no button on it. So.
Just be who you are. You got tons of freaking practice out here. All right? Rome won't build a day. All right? Be smart.
P50s every lap. P3, P1's a 40. You'll see you have to baby the throttle over here. It's not launching quite as hard as it should. My biggest problem, Trip, is having wheel input coming off a corner. I'm having to keep on turning and making the rear come around. All right, Trip, we're getting close. I like the way it is on the entry now. On the throttle, that made it a lot better, but I need a lot more. We'll get close, I think. 10-4. It looked better. Your lap times were good there. And the tone of your voice sounds a lot better, buddy. Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up.
I think we would have had something for Ty on the second lap. I think I had him, and right in the middle I got free, and that carried over when I picked up the throttle. So good effort for the 27 truck, and hope we get him in a race.
State Water Heater Chevrolet qualified 7th. Great run. Jeb, has your week been what you expected?
Yes, sir. It's probably been a little bit more than my expectations, and hopefully we can come away with the top 10 finish and impress State Water Heaters and go racing next week at Rockingham.
That'd be a great start. And guys, he's got a special treat. He's got $1 in his fire suit. He won his first race at Ace Speedway. He bought a hot dog, got that $1 back, and now he keeps it every week in his pocket.
Some people have a lucky rabbit's foot. He's got $1.
And that was a feature win, right? He's talking about.
You'd get $3 back here if you bought a hot dog. They're $2.
How about the Burton family here at Martinsville? Well, actually the accomplishments of what they've been able to do. Jeff Burton, 21 career wins. Ward Burton, his father, the Daytona 500 winner in 2002. And now Jeb Burton makes his first career Camping World Truck Series start.
And if I'm Jeff and Ward, I'm just going to tell Jeb, we're going to take it easy today. We're starting inside the top 10. Let's not ruffle any feathers. Let's just run 250 laps. Don't run into anybody or anything, and just learn today. He's going to have the tendency to want to overdo it because he's fast, Phil, and he's a young kid, and he's in his backyard. He wants to show people what he's all about. We're going to have to try to
rein him in a little bit.
Harness that a little bit. Yeah. Hold him back.
And he's still going through the resume process. Obviously, he's starting at a short track now. They will observe him during this race. He's going to go to Rockingham in 2 weeks after Easter. He'll run that race. They'll observe him there. And then, if everything goes well, he'll be approved to run at the 1.5 mile racetracks like Kansas, which would be the next stop. And that's what they want to do, is make sure that they make him available for those races. We look at our Royal Purple race analysis.
As you can see, 36 trucks, 250 laps around this, just a little over half-mile racetrack. You see our pit window around 130 to 140 laps. Most of the guys think it's going to be, with this tire, Michael, a two-stop race.
Right, they might stop around lap 90, maybe lap 180 or so, and then be set to go to the finish. Or maybe, like you said in the opening, Phil, short pit this deal a little bit, get some track position, and then try to hold on to it.
This historic racetrack, as we look at the numbers in the Camping World track description, amazing.
I love it.
I don't know that I've ever seen any part of any racetrack with 0 degrees.
And let me ask you this question. How simple does that look? Anybody could do it, right? This is one of the hardest places we're going to race all year.
Go extremely fast on the straightaways and then slam on the brakes and turn left. It's time to start the engines. We go for the command.
Fans, please welcome key account manager for Pepsi-Cola, Spencer Brissett, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
"36 trucks come to life." About ready to take on Martinsville Speedway for 250 laps. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back. Kroger 250 about to get underway. Trucks are rolling off of pit road. The engines have been fired. Everyone pulling out onto the half-mile paper clip. They will get their tires warmed up, brakes warmed up before the green flag flies. Let's take a look at how they will start this race. Kevin Harvick wins the pole, his 3rd career pole. Dillon will start on his outside, or inside in this case. He chooses the outside.
Got a former winner back in row number 2, Timothy Peters, along with Cale Gale.
Justin Lofton continues to be strong. End of the year last year running well and picked that right back up again this year. That's good to see.
There's Jeb Burton, who's going to have to go to the rear, and Johnny Sauter, our winner in this race last year.
Impressive qualifying effort for Jeff Agnew. He starts on the outside of row 5.
Matt Crafton, a lot of testing. He thinks he's got a fast truck. Jason Leffler just happy to be here. Didn't know he was coming.
Top O'Nine has that look in his eye. We talked about it. We showed it during qualifying. He could be a threat.
I love it. Todd's going to be the man today.
Paulie Haraka will start on the outside of row number 9.
Brennan Newberry getting a start. Strong during practice. J.R. Fitzpatrick from Canada coming down to Martinsville to race.
We'll reiterate the fact that 21 of the 26 races have been won after starting in the top 10 starting positions. So that bodes a little bit more difficult for the drivers back here in the back of this field.
Yeah, David Starr's won here before, though, Phil.
Sure has. He knows how to get it done here.
John West Townley returning to the Truck Series.
There's our Daytona winner, John King, back in row number 16.
He was back that far at Daytona at one point or another. He's probably thinking this won't be no big deal.
And the final row, Chris Cockrum and Dakota Armstrong making up that final row.
You talk about inside the top 10. Listen to the 3 trucks just outside of the top 10 in the starting lineup. Crafton, Leffler, and Bodine. All 3 of those trucks could easily, or not easily, they could fight their way to the win here, but going to have to do it from outside the top 10. And like you said, Rick, that hasn't been done very often.
You're getting a report that Jeb Burton is not going to have to go to the back, so he will maintain his 7th place starting spot.
That would have been kind of crazy to watch with a fast truck and a rookie from the back.
Would have been tough. We've got a few cameras that will ride along on the paper clip. Michael?
Yeah, this is Joey Coultry starting 21st. Has had a good truck all day yesterday. Was disappointed in his qualifying run. Sponsored by Steakums. That sounds like Martinsville to me.
How about we're going to ride along with Paulie Haraka in the MC10 Ford. Paulie will start from the 18th spot, just about to graduate from Duke University.
This is the captain almost won the championship last year. Johnny Sauter. He's going to roll from the 8th starting spot in the Hot Honey Herb Records Toyota.
You think this next guy knows his way around here? 4-time champion Ron Hornaday in the AM/FM Energy Chevy. He will start from the 5th spot.
And the 17 of Timothy Peters, also carrying one of our cameras. He won at this racetrack back in 2009. Very close to his hometown, so he considers Martinsville his home track.
You might wonder, you know, the inside is the premier lane. That's where you want to be on this start. So you would say, why is Kevin Harvick on the outside? You can't run the outside here. What's going to happen when they get down to turn 1? Dillon will let off the gas. Kevin Harvick will grab the bottom. That'll put Dillon on the bottom. He doesn't have to worry about fighting his way down there. So this is a little home cooking here for these two. Harvick's going to say, let me have the first turn, and you'll be in second, and you'll be happy.
It helps when you're teammates, too.
That's right. This is a great plan, and you're going to watch it play out when they get to turn 1.
Come to fruition.
Unless Ty forgot.
I don't think
he's pretty savvy. He won that ARCA Racing Series championship last year. Yeah. He's not going to forget.
He's won about as many races as he lost, hasn't he? I mean, he's got a really good batting average. I went 0 for 462 once.
This is a racetrack where if you get hung out on the outside. You can get shuffled back 10 to 12 spots. We'll see what happens as we're about ready to start the second race of the 2012 season. Coming out of turn number 4, Kevin Harvick leading the field to the green flag.
It worked out just exactly like you said, Michael.
Almost like it was planned. And now Cale Gale will try to slide just in front of Timothy Peters. So it's Kevin Harvick, Ty Dillon, Cale Gale, and Timothy Peters, your top 4 as they go through 3 and 4.
These guys are going to be fighting for spots here on the bottom. They want to get down to the bottom. They don't want to get shuffled back, Rick, like you were talking about.
And right now on the outside, Justin Lofton in the 6 is starting to get shuffled back. He'll try to find a spot right in front of that 13 of Johnny Sauter. He slips in line. And now Timothy Peters tries to make the pass on Cale Gale.
Cale slipped up off turn 2. It gave Peters a shot to the inside. He took it, and he's going to bring some of his buddies with him. Hornaday to the inside.
Side by side for that 4th spot. Hornaday on the inside, Cale Gale on the outside. He gets shuffled back another position.
I think he's going to catch a break. That's Justin Lofton, Cale Gale's teammate in the 6 truck. He's going to let him in.
We haven't talked a lot about the fact that there is a curb at this racetrack. It sticks up. You can get shot into the outside line if you try to cut the corner a little bit. And so far we haven't seen that. We hope we don't see it this evening.
Great side-by-side racing. James Buescher in the 31 truck gets by Jeb Burton. He's going to bring a friend with him, Matt Crafton in the 88, as Justin Lofton tries to get by Cale Gale.
You are going to see it this evening, Rick. Someone will hit that curb and hit another truck. These guys battle each other hard here. See, Kevin Harvick looked like rolled over and let Ty Dillon grab the lead. Now, I'm not so sure Kevin thinks Ty needs to get a point for leading a lap for this championship battle, or if Kevin just said, it's a little early for me to be driving my truck so hard, so have at it, Ty. We'll know the answer to that in about a lap if the 3 pulls over and gets out of Harvick's way.
And right now, the 2 of Kevin Harvick on the back bumper of that 3. Here, a side-by-side battle continuing. On the inside, James Buescher. On the outside, Cale Gale. And look at that.
He pulled over and let him go.
Yeah, pulled over to the inside and let Harvick go. There's that 1 point for leading. Could loom large when we get towards the end of the year.
The Cup guys tied in points last year. You know, after the season was over, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards had the same amount of points. If he had had a teammate let him lead 1 lap somewhere during the course of the season, Carl would have been your champion. Or somewhere during the course of the chase, Carl would have been your champion.
Jockeying for positions early on. There's Todd Bodine in the 11 trying to get by Agnew in the 70.
He's going to be able to make that pass on the bottom of the racetrack. I tell you, I really like the way that 11 truck of Todd Bodine looked all throughout both practices yesterday, as well as the look in his eye. You saw, Michael.
Oh, he looks a little bit loose off the turn there, but I'm with you, Phil. Todd was very energetic and very enthused about being in Martinsville and trying to put that streak of never winning on a small track behind him, but that thing's loose. You can see Agnew gets a run down on the bottom here.
Slid through the middle of the corner there. That opened up the bottom for just a moment for Jeff Agnew.
Slipping sideways again off. He's going to have to
tidy that up a little bit.
He might either need to tighten it up or sometimes as the air pressures come up on the trucks, the handling will change. But right now he's had his hands full.
Fuel burning off as well as you burn some of that weight off of the back of these trucks.
And as the rubber builds up, they historically talk about this racetrack getting tighter, especially through the center of the corner and then the early exit.
Yeah, this track doesn't have any rubber on it. It rained all night last night, and now we've had just some trucks and cars qualifying, but this is the most rubber that's been down on it all day, even just this short of a time into the race.
See the difference between 1 and 2 now. Kevin Harvick in that 2 truck just in front of Ty Dillon in the 3, and that's the differential now after about 3 or 4 laps that have been run hard by Kevin Harvick. At the beginning of this race, we saw Harvick move over. Ty Dillon led a lap. Harvick goes right back to the front, and he continues to lead at Martinsville. Kevin Harvick beginning to lap the slower traffic. Now working his way by Jake Crum in the 07. Harvick with a very strong race truck. Not only yesterday in practice, qualifying, grabs the pole, and now showing us just how strong that truck is early on in this race.
Tight battle back here for the 6th spot. Johnny Sauter, the 13, has 6. There's James Buescher, the 31, and Matt Crafton in the 88. Remember,
got a spin on the front.
Around goes Ron Hornaday in the 9.
Hi.
He may have had some help. Justin Lofton, the 6 truck, was right behind him.
He had a lot of help on the end of the spin. I don't know if maybe he got sideways first, but definitely Lofton into the back of Hornaday.
Hornaday was running in the 4th spot when he came out of turn number 4, and around he goes.
Don't see a great deal of damage. There's Looked like Justin maybe had made the move to the inside, Michael. And they made contact right down there in the center of turn number 4.
You make the commitment to the low side.
You see he got sideways and actually had opened up the bottom of the racetrack, got a little bit sideways, took up some more room, and Justin was there.
I knew what finished the spin. I wasn't sure what started it, Phil.
So the 4-time champion around at Martinsville. Harvick still out front. Welcome up. Welcome back. They are going 2 by 2. Getting ready for the restart. We had a caution coming out as Hornaday got sideways, and we listened in to the 6 of Justin Lofton. Here's what he had to say during the incident.
Come on. Tick. Caution's out. Wasn't your fault. That was his. Yeah, I didn't touch him there. He was trying to wreck anyway.
And the green flag comes out once again. Harvick on the outside will take the top spot once again in front of Ty Dillon. Now a good run by that 6 of Justin Lofton working the outside.
It's so hard to accelerate up off the bottom of the corner like Austin or Ty Dillon had to do there when another truck's right beside you. You can see Ty went into the corner there, sort of went straight, Phil, when he got to the turn, got him an angle off the corner and accelerated straight up off.
And Justin knew that Ty was going to back off and let Kevin Harvick in, and he had designs of maybe closing that hole up as well. Now he's going backwards.
2 by 2 they stay. Johnny Sauter on the inside of James Buescher. Crafton, his teammate, just behind Sauter.
Looked like Sauter might have bounced off the curb there. Did a nice job staying off of James Buescher.
Lofton still trying to find a spot to move into. He finds one behind the 88 of Matt Crafton. So Hornaday does come to pit road. And did they make some adjustments to that truck?
Yeah, they did, Rick. It came down pit road. They did not change tires because Hornaday said he did not flat spot them. He agreed with what we saw on TV was not contact with the 6 truck. He was starting to get loose in the center of the corner, so they came in, dropped the track bar, topped off with fuel, got him back on the racetrack.
Thanks, Irving. A little contact early in this one, right?
Trying to make his way. You see a little bit of that's David Ruderman. You see a little dent in the back bumper of that 92 truck right in front of Ron Hornaday. There's Joey Coulter, the 22. He's going to try to get by that 39 truck of Sieg as well.
Try to bring Jason White with him as well. As you can see White there battling with the 70 of Jeff Agnew. He makes that move. There's racing everywhere, Phil.
James Buescher's doing a nice job hanging in on the outside there, but look how much ground they're losing to the top 3 while they're doing that.
Yeah, they're battling for 4th, and you see the top 3 have almost a straightaway between them and that battle for 4th.
Now we're going to go 3 wide for that spot.
Can you go 3 wide at Martinsville?
For a minute.
Yeah.
Or a second.
Till you get to the corner. Anyway.
So Buescher wins that battle. He's out in front of Johnny Sauter now for the 4th spot. Sauter back into 5th. Then his teammate Matt Crafton right behind him in 6th.
I'd circle that move right there by Buescher, staying on the outside, gaining that spot away from Johnny Sauter, keeping that 4th position. You remember what happened here last fall in the Cup race? Tony Stewart made a move on the high side to stay on the lead lap. Then he used that same move on the high side to win the race at the end against Jimmy Johnson. So these guys are learning things now that can pay dividends later.
And how did Tony end up in points like you were talking about earlier?
It all worked out. I think that started a streak of he's won 7 of the last 15 races.
Yeah. Not
As
bad.
Russell stares at me with a blank look on his face, my statistician.
He gave you the thumbs up. You're dead on with those stats.
I just have been very impressed with when guys learn something like Tony did that day. Maybe James just saw something there that he can use later in this race too.
And he may have watched Tony do that too.
Making it work here at Martinsville. Riding along with Timothy Peters just in front of him, it's the young Ty Dillon in that number 3. Ty Dillon in practice yesterday, not good. Struggled. Tried to figure out exactly how to make that truck faster. Kevin Harvick jumped into that truck late in the 2nd practice, was able to put some laps on it, gave some feedback. Ty Dillon goes out, has a great qualifying effort, starts 2nd, and now battling in the top 5.
Michael, you see the little yellow block there? That's the RPMs. You see about 8,700 down to 4,500 RPMs in the center of the corner here.
You know, Ray, if I was Ty Dillon, darn it, Austin won the championship. That's Ty's brother. If I was Ty, I might let Timothy Peters go right now. He's all over the back of him. There's a big gap behind Ty. Maybe he could learn what his truck has. Are they saying anything about that down there in the pit?
And Michael, the problem is that 3 truck is loose coming off right now, and he said he's really got a handful turning sideways when he comes off the corner. But I thought it was interesting listening to their radio yesterday, and they do make that swap. Peters goes ahead of Ty Dillon, but yesterday Ty said he really liked the way the truck was handling. He thought it felt good. It was just slow. But whatever changes they made to it last night, it sure came to life this morning in qualifying.
Great heads-up move, and you know that Ty Dillon has a lot of experience working with him up on top and spotter stand down. You got Scott Nassett as his crew chief, as well as his dad Mike Dillon and Pop Richard Childress, and that was, they saw exactly what you were saying. No sense racing that hard early. Go ahead and let Timothy go. See if you can work your truck out a little bit. Maybe alter your line just a little bit. There's not a whole lot you can do here, but maybe you can do a little bit here and make it better.
Yeah, that white truck you see up ahead, that's Ron Hornaday. He's in a different agenda right now than Ty Dillon. Ty is up front. He just needs to study his truck, focus on his truck, and be patient, be calm. Ron's got to charge a little bit. He just made his way inside the top 15 after that spin he had to bring out our first caution. He's got to go for a bit here. Use that truck up for all it's worth right now until he can gain some track position and then take a deep breath like Ty Dillon did by letting Timothy Peters go.
When we come to short tracks, the word rhythm comes up a lot. You get into a rhythm. The problem with getting into that rhythm at a racetrack is there's 35 other trucks out there that can break up that rhythm.
Yeah, darn it. I mean, and they're in your way, and they want to be where you are.
And I don't know if I don't have the best record here at Martinsville, and you ought to see me try to dance. I mean, I have no rhythm, and I couldn't get it all timed out here like I needed to.
Right now, the best rhythm is the engine by Kevin Harvick. Sounding very good and looking good for that 2 out in front. Harvick has almost a 3-second lead over second place Timothy Peters.
Saw a little bit of heat on that front brake rotor. As easy as he's running here to drive away, still a little bit of brake heat.
Today, round 2 of the Rolex Sports Car Series rides into Alabama. Find out if the Michael Shank boys can take 2 in a row. That's the Rolex Sports Cars Series. Birmingham, that's today, right after the truck race here on Speed.
Great win on the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24 for Shank Racing. Actually, 2 cars on the podium. Michael McDowell, who will be racing tomorrow, was in one of those cars, and A.J. Allmendinger was actually in the winning car.
And what about that battle late in the race that A.J. Allmendinger had with Alan McNish? They were bumping doors up on the high banks at Daytona and racing for the win in a 24-hour race.
24-hour race, and I think first and second were separated by 5 seconds.
Well, 4 cars in the lead lap.
Yeah, 24-hour race, and the top 2 are separated by 5 seconds. Very impressive, so you want to stay tuned for that. Here we have Kevin Harvick out in front. He has been the dominant truck. He was very gracious and allowed Ty Dillon to lead a lap, then took over the top spot and now has a 4.5-second lead over second place Timothy Peters. Ty Dillon's dropped back to 3rd, James Buescher 4th, and Johnny Sauter in your top 5.
Yeah, we saw Buescher and Sauter battle for that 4th spot, and darn, they've been battling ever since. Buescher got the spot, but Sauter's been able to keep right up with him. Army, what's the going on with Matt Crafton's truck?
Well, Michael, right now he's running in the 6th position on the racetrack, but they're a little bit concerned about the engine under the hood of this Toyota. The tachometer inside of the truck, according to Matt Crafton, is going crazy, bouncing back between 5,000 and 9,000 RPM. Concerned about maybe a battery issue or another electrical issue. They just asked him to switch ignition boxes to see if that clears it up. Right now he's running decent lap times, but a little bit of concern on the 88 pit.
Had a bit of a moment on the backstretch here. David Rudem in the 92 truck. Not sure exactly what happened. There's Dusty Davis at 15, Max Gresham in the 24, and there's John King in the 7.
Looked like maybe
there's the moment right there.
Yeah, Jason White moved David out of the way, spun him out, and then straightened him back up. So I guess David might have to think they're even because he spun him out and then he fixed it for him.
I'm willing to bet David doesn't think they're even.
You don't think that's where he's at right now?
I don't think even is what he's thinking right now. Maybe get even.
He's thinking something, but remember how important it is to keep the fenders and the brake ducts on these trucks. I think Jason's going to have a little bit of damage to that right front corner of his truck.
And the reason why Jason decided to finally move David is because look who's coming. Kevin Harvick had caught the back of those guys. Jason Spotter obviously told him, felt like David was holding him up a little bit and gave him a shot in the rear end, and that caused David almost to have a wreck.
Rudeman currently running 25th, so 26th. John West Townley is now a lap down as Harvick has really set a blistering pace once the green flag came back out after our first caution.
There he goes around Rudeman.
We're getting in that window now. We're rapidly approaching 60 laps. I think now if we see a caution anytime soon, you know, they may bring most of the field to pit road for that first pit stop and put tires on. Michael, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think you're right, Phil, and you're liable to see a caution now because of what just happened. Harvick got to the back of that group of trucks that were fighting to stay on the lead lap. People get impatient and run into each other. The next victims are John King and Dusty Davis, Max Gresham. They start holding each other up, they'll knock each other out of the way.
Brian Silas ran a little bit higher line. That allowed the 5 of Paulie Haraka to shove the nose of that truck in and take the position away. Again, Johnny Sauter running 5th, James Buescher 4th. That's the gap between those 2 trucks.
Jeb Burton goes way high down in 1 and 2. Looks like he stays on the racetrack. May just overshot the corner a little bit. Problem is when you get out of the groove, then you get a lot of rubber buildup on your tires, and it takes a couple laps to get the tires cleaned off.
Yeah, and he had a lot of space of his own, and now that's all gone. So that was a mistake that Jeb made. See if he can overcome it.
Ray, it looks as though Kevin Harvick is out there on a Sunday drive. Does he have the radio playing music in that truck?
It's just a Saturday drive today, Rick, but I'll tell you what, he is a big concern. Just came on the radio and said, I smell rear end gear and it's burning. Said, I don't know if it's in our truck or somebody in front of us here. I'll try to update you, but definitely a smell of burning rear end, and that's going to be a problem for one of those trucks. We don't know if it's the 2 or not for sure yet.
It's the 15, Ray.
A little smoke coming out from the 15.
Dusty Davis up ahead. There's the smoke, and that's what Harvick is smelling.
As a matter of fact, if you have somebody losing a gear at this racetrack, we'll smell it up here in the TV booth. Everybody here will be able to smell that.
He sees that smoke, and I guarantee he feels a little bit better right now, other than he might be getting some grease on his windshield, but he knows now where that smell is coming from, and it's not coming from him.
Well, the one thing he wants to do is get by that 15, so if there is grease or some type of fluid being put down on the racetrack, he doesn't get in it and inadvertently get into the wall. Still continue to see a little bit of smoke coming out from behind that 15.
Running at a pretty good pace is Dusty Davis.
Kevin makes a move to the inside now. Dusty moves over, gives him room.
Harvick continues to lead. Timothy Peters, Ty Dillon, James Buescher, and Johnny Sauter, your top 5. 8.5 seconds the difference between Harvick and Peters as you take a look at the paperclip here at Martinsville, Virginia.
Rick, you mentioned the tachometer they did down in the pits. The guys in the pits did going crazy on the 88. That usually means a dead battery, possibly, Phil, and it looks like that's the case. Watch his tach.
Yeah, look at the telemetry. It is out of whack, and it doesn't look like the truck has the end of the straightaway speed that it had at the start. You see him do fine in the corner, but watch, he's going to pull over because it looks like he definitely, I would say, has a cylinder gone. Again, he's fine through the corner here, and initially when he gets on the throttle, but right about now is when that thing starts losing power.
I'm just wondering if it has enough battery to run the ignition when he tries to go up to the higher RPMs. Maybe the thing's just barely running right now, but it's not going to fix itself, and he needs a caution pretty desperately. Looks like we might have one. The 22 truck of Joey Coulter into the outside wall in turn 3.
Yellow's out. The 22's in the fence over here, 3 or 4.
You mentioned it.
Right front tire looks like maybe for Joey Coulter. It's not turning right now.
Yeah, a lot of damage to the right front of that truck.
Big break for several trucks. Our leader, Kevin Harvick, had gotten right on the bumper of Jason White. Max Gresham and those guys were all battling to stay on the lead lap. Oh, Matt Crafton's engine going crazy.
Yeah, like you say, you know, the battery may not even be strong enough to run our telemetry.
Right. It's not strong enough to run his tach. I think if they can maybe swap batteries, he'll be okay.
Very opportune caution flag for Matt Crafton.
Joey Coulter was running 22nd or 19th. Joey Coulter was 19th. Matt Crafton was running 6th when he had the issues. Coming onto pit road, he's going to pass on the outside.
Yeah, pit road is actually closed, but Matt Crafton knows that he needs all the time he can get. He knows he will have to restart from the tail of the longest line.
If they go right to the left rear, that's where the battery's located.
Slow down, you're right before the center.
Ooh.
Hold on.
Yeah. Sounds like Mike Dillon, Ty's dad, spotting for Joey, and obviously nothing Joey could do about it when they got down to the center of the corner.
Right to the left rear corner of that truck, Phil. That's where the battery's located. If they could get that. baby changed and keep him on the lead lap, that'd be quite an accomplishment. He loses ones, he can get Aaron's lucky dog and still be in the race.
Yeah, he's definitely going to lose one. The pace truck is going by right now.
Green flag for pit stops. We go down to Hermie.
Well, Rick, James Buescher is really happy with his track position. Not as happy with his truck. He's fighting tight through the center of the corner and no forward bite. It's going to be 4 tires and air pressure adjustment for James Buescher. Ray?
Hermie, down on my end, I'm a bit surprised to hear how many people are loose. Typically, you have a really tight race truck in the corner here. Harvick a little bit loose. The 17 of Peters is loose, and also the 3 of Ty Dillon. You see the track bar adjustment there on the Tide Silverado. That'll help tighten him up a little bit. Left side tires go on. Harvick got that #1 pit stall. They drop him down, and easily he'll be the first guy off of pit road here. Coming around next, that is Matt Crafton, who obviously had some work. The 3 will go. 31 is going to beat out the 17.
Great pit stop by Ty Dillon's team. Grab that spot.
Kevin Harvick holds serve. Comes in as the leader, leaves as the leader.
Looks like Timothy Peters going to drop a couple spots. Jeb Burton moves up the most spots, 5 positions. And the 88 back on pit road, Hermie.
Yeah, this is the second time they've been being Rick. Last time they came to pit road, it was just to change the battery. Now they're coming back in to get their tires they wanted to get on the first stop. They are hopeful, right side tires on it, they are hopeful that this will help them get to the end of the race.
So I'm hearing a mistake by Paulie Haraka, rookie driver, who missed the commitment line on one end to the other, and he'll have to restart at the rear of the field.
So our first pit stop's taking place at Martinsville, and we come back to green flag. Good things continue to happen for John King, even though he was a lap down. Aaron's is going to give him a lap back. He's our Aaron's lucky dog, so he'll get a lap back before the green flag about to come back out. Field coming out of turn 4. Green flag back in the air.
Once again, Ty Dillon backs off so Kevin Harvick can have that line getting down in the corner. Great teamwork by 2 teammates.
Yeah, and so smart too, because Ty Dillon is then assured he's going to be able to hang on to that second spot, which if you start on the outside, you never know where you're going to find a spot to slide into.
See Timothy Peters settles in third, and here we go with that side-by-side battle again with James Buescher and Johnny Sauter. This time James is on the inside though.
Buescher's going to grab the spot. Whoa. So Justin Lofton's going to slow just enough for Johnny Sauter to get in there.
Well, you could see that Justin Lofton thought he was going to grab that spot away from Sauter, and he almost was in there too far to back up.
There was 3 wide. Ron Hornaday making the pass on the outside, going by Dusty Davis, as well as that 08 of Ross Chastain.
Dusty has the outside line pretty much clogged up there.
These guys are battling with some lap trucks and guys on the lead lap. There's John King, got a lap back courtesy of Aaron's, and Jason White, who's been battling to stay on the lead lap. Leader's been up to his tailgate a couple of times. He's been able to stay on the lead lap though.
Matt Crafton only lost 1 lap with that battery change, so he now just needs to stay in line here, work his way towards the front of the lap down trucks to be in position for that next Aaron's lucky dog.
Single file line as they work their way into turn number 1. Still it's Harvick out in front of Ty Dillon, Timothy Peters, James Buescher, and Johnny Sauter, your top 5. Justin Lofton, Cale Gale, Parker Kligerman, Todd Bodine, and Jason Leffler in the 18.
Hadn't heard much out of Leffler. He's hanging in there, making an adjustment or 2 to that truck. That team obviously knows how to win here, and Leffler's a fast driver, so he could become a player in this baby.
Hornaday's moved up to the 13th spot, Hermie.
Yeah, Rick, but now they have some of the same concerns that Matt Crafton has had. Ron Hornaday pointing out to his crew chief, Jeff Hisley, that the voltage on his gauges on the dash are showing 0, and he's losing top end in the engine. They are preparing to also come down pit road and possibly change a battery.
Yeah, that's what happens. The battery isn't charged enough to make the ignition fire when they try to turn it up 9,000 RPMs. Thing starts to die on you. Matt Crafton was able to survive to get to a caution, change his battery, see if Hornadays is fortunate.
It's amazing how much voltage that these ignition systems need to operate at their full potential. Right now we see Matt Crafton. The only problem with Matt Crafton's is it's something that's drawing the battery down, and he's going to have that problem with another battery.
Yeah, because he didn't quite run far enough to make it again on another battery if it is something that's a miss.
those of us that tinker with cars, there's an alternator on here. So is it an alternator issue?
Well, very possibly the alternator not charging, and that's what's drawing the battery down.
But the team's smart enough to figure out if that's the case, they'll turn off some of the fans that cool the brakes or cool the gear and try to alternate between using the fans and not using them to keep going.
They're going to turn the driver's fan off first. That's the first thing they're going to get rid of.
I don't want to hear anything out of him.
The 22, Joey Coulter, had a right front tire go down, got into the wall. That brought out our second caution. How's that team doing now, Ray?
Well, flat tire for Joey Coulter, and as they pulled it off the track, it was pretty simple to see here that they had melted the bead on the inside. Excessive brake heat certainly did that, so no question about it as we saw that. And the yellow is back out here at Martinsville.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick around in the 60, so that brings out the third caution.
Looks like the left rear tire is certainly low. Don't know if it's flat or not.
Oh, and Jeff Agnew, huge damage to the front of that truck.
Been a rough day for Agnew.
Yeah, wow. See what happens here. You see a little bit of contact right here between John West Townley and the 09. He gets a little bit loose, and then he moves up into the 60, and that's his chain reaction. You see Dakota Armstrong with a lot of damage as well in the 98 truck. Watch the chain reaction now.
That was a case too, Phil. You talk about that curb. I think John West caught a bit of the curb, tossed him sideways, and into Fitzpatrick. He looked right there against the edge of the curb, maybe up the hill.
He tries to stay off, but he got a little bit loose, and when he got loose, he had to chase the truck up the hill, and that's when he made contact with Fitzpatrick.
And you can see behind him, there's Dakota Armstrong into the back of Greenfield, and a lot of impact on the front of that Clarence's Steakhouse truck of Jeff Agnew.
Clarence Steakhouse just up the road from here in Martinsville. We'll be back. Tomorrow, NASCAR Race Day is live from Martinsville. We'll tell you if Dale Jr. can straighten out the paperclip and end his winless streak. Plus, Biffle, Harvick, and Hamlin join us live. NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco from Martinsville tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern, live on Speed.
Don't you know Denny Hamlin smiles a little bit bigger every time they come to Martinsville?
Yeah, but I'm having problems. Is this Hamlinville, or is this Johnsonville, or is this Harvickville? Where are we at?
Well, Harvick, Hermyville, isn't it?
You think it's Hermyville?
Yeah, Hermy, isn't this your joint?
Now, I'm a long way from Hermyville, but I tell you what, this 9 truck, they came in and changed the battery for Ron Hornaday. Crew Chief Jeff Hensley is telling the crew to get another battery charged and ready because they're not sure this will be the last time they'll have to change a battery. Also, another battery issue, believe it or not, for the 5 truck of Paulie Haraka. He is starting to lose voltage, and they've asked him to cut all his brake fans and hoses off as well. So a lot of issues with batteries today. Got to figure out what the cause of it is. Could ruin good finishes for some of these teams.
You have to figure those are alternator issues.
Yeah, you would think.
And maybe it's just too many fans cooling the brakes and the tires and the driver on this hot day, and it's burning up the alternators. It's the only thing I can figure. Yes. Batteries aren't going to go bad.
Yeah, they have several brake fans as well as bead blower fan. We talked about Joey Coulter melting the bead. They actually have fans that will blow air on the beads of the tires, and unfortunately that wasn't enough for Joey Coulter in this situation.
And there's a lot of crew chiefs for the Cup race tomorrow that are thinking, is this just an isolated issue, or do we need to look at how we're cooling our brakes and beads on our tires? A lot of folks watch these races closely that race tomorrow, see if there's any tire issues, what the issues indeed are.
And a lot of the crew chiefs, Cup crew chiefs that will be working tomorrow will be walking up and down pit road looking for those very things.
You use the word issues. One driver who has had them. We look at our Ram guts and glory, and Ron Hornaday. Issues early for him, bringing out our first caution as he went around coming out of turn 4.
Able to get back going, made a lot of nice moves to get back up into the top 15. Here he is racing with David Rudiman on the back bumper of Miguel Paludo right there. But now he has an issue. He's a lap down, Michael and Rick.
You definitely have to have guts and glory when you race at Martinsville. And Hornaday wanting to battle back, potentially get back on that lead lap, but he'll have to work for it. Harvick and Dillon bringing the field back to the green flag. It's back in the air. We're back underway. Harvick has been the dominant truck today since the drop of the green flag. He allowed Dillon to lead a lap, but then took over the top spot once again. Peters, James Buescher, Sauter, all in the top 5. They've ran well up to this point as we're closing in on and right at 100 laps of racing, just over it now.
Jeb Burton come real sideways coming off turn number 4. Does a nice job of saving that truck. John King goes way high. Gets up in the marbles and the loose stuff.
I love these several spots. We can't show every bit of the action that takes place, but the restarts are wild. These guys are all over each other. You got so many different agendas. Right now, Ron Hornaday and Matt Crafton, you see Matt on the bottom of the track coming down the front straightaway. That's how close they are battling for that Aaron's lucky dog. Other guys wanting to get track position to try to set themselves up to battle for the finish. And Hornaday and Crafton are just fighting to try to get back on the lead lap.
Currently 20 trucks on the lead lap. Kevin Harvick continues to set the pace out front. Ty Dillon, Timothy Peters, James Buescher, and Johnny Sauter, your top 5. Then Lofton, Gale, Bodine, Kligerman, and Leffler, your top 10.
There's David Starr, makes the move to the inside of Jeb Burton.
Starr back there in 14th. Takes that position away. That's 13th for David Starr.
Nelson Piquet Jr. to the inside of Jeb Burton.
You know what else is fun to watch is how much harder these guys start to dive in the corners on each other as every lap ticks by. You know, this is a sprint race, just a couple 150 laps. You got to get all you can get, but they're pretty respectful the first 40 or 50 laps. But when there's a restart, you're buried back in 15th to 20th. You're going to grab everything you can.
We saw the very start of the race where sometimes it was teammates letting other teammates in, other drivers letting other drivers in. As you mentioned, Michael, the closer we get to the 200 lap mark, there'll be none of that.
And that's happening right now. It's already beginning because these guys know they've got to get track position if they're going to win this race.
There was contact right there. David Starr in the 81 got in the back of the 08 and moved him up off the bottom of the racetrack coming off turn number 2 and took over that spot.
Hornaday being pushed down to the bottom of the racetrack by that 27 of Jeb Burton. We'll see if that sits well with the 4-time champion.
Well, I can answer that for you. It won't.
Yeah. And believe me, that Ron Hornaday, that 9 truck, knows that that 88 is the truck he's looking for right now. He needs to be in front of that 88 truck when the caution flag comes out. Watch the tachometer on Matt Crafton. Remember, we saw it going crazy before they changed the battery. Now it looks like it's supposed to, down to about 4,500 up to 8,500. But again, we still have almost 143 laps left, Michael.
A little bumping there between Hornaday and Crafton. Crafton on the receiving end. Hornaday being a little bit too giving.
Well, I think Ron thought he maybe got to get a swing into the first turn on the high side and be able to get a better run off turn 2 on Matt and make that pass. They're running there with Ross Chastain, who's on the lead lap in the watermelon truck, running in the 14th spot. So another great job by Ross. But right now, Crafton knows he's got to go. He's got to get some trucks between he and Hornaday because Ron's fast as well.
And Ron will not be patient back there. Nope. He knows what's at stake for that one position on the racetrack.
And Ron Hornaday knows how to win at this racetrack. He knows you need to be up on the wheel and get up front as quickly as you can because there's guys like Kevin Harvick that he's going to have to spend a lot of time working against if he wants to take that spot away. And speaking of taking spots away, Buescher was able to jump up in front of Dillon. Now the move back. Dillon's able to hold on to that spot. Peters holding on to 3rd. Buescher, and now we see Dusty Davis in the 15 stopped on the track. That'll bring out the caution once again.
And guess what? Matt Crafton will get the Aaron's lucky dog now. That battle for position on the racetrack is going to give Matt Crafton 1 full half mile.
And also it's going to give him time. He's going to have more time now to work his way through those trucks. You saw how hard it was to pass. Matt's probably got a top 5 truck, but he couldn't get around Ross Chastain back in 14th. He needs that time to be able to work his way through the field.
So the 4th caution comes out. Looks as though Matt Crafton is going to get the Aaron's lucky dog. He will be the benefactor this time.
And he gets a free pit stop. He knows he's going to have to restart this race from the back of the pack. He knows he can come down pit road. He maybe not want to put his tires on right now, but he may want to make some fine adjustments, try to make that truck a little bit better.
He just got tires on the last stop, so I'm with you, Phil. Let's just maybe put a little track bar to it, or maybe some wedge. Give Matt a cold drink. Tell him you're starting in the back anyway. It's time to go through these guys.
And right now, with 139 laps to go, he probably would get very close to in the window of having enough fuel to run the rest of this race.
27 of Jeb Burton, a little bit vocal on the radio. He's had a little bit of an issue with the 81 of David Starr. Let's listen in.
That 81, he's got it. Watch inside again, same thing.
That's what we were talking about. We saw them make contact. I don't know if the contact's going to come right here where he moved him out of the way.
You can see Matt Crafton working his way around those trucks. It's much easier when they let you pass them under caution. He's going to run around the whole field and come back on the back tail end of the lead lap.
He's going to pass him on the outside, too.
The Aaron's lucky dog and be ready to put that battery issue behind them. I'm wondering if that team doesn't think it might be wise to see if under caution they could put a battery. You know, they lost a lap when they did it before, so they can't really risk losing another one, but they got to be better prepared in case something goes wrong later.
One of the unique aspects of this racetrack, train tracks run right off the backstretch. Rough and tumble, that's what they say when you come to Martinsville, and almost like a Wild West scene. You've got railroad tracks just behind the racetrack. Those are actually the route of the Roanoke and Southern Railways, which now are the Norfolk Southern.
Norfolk?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And those were complete. Are you going off of my pronunciation now? Those were completed back in 1891.
And that train comes through here normally at about 4:45 in the morning.
I thought it was 4:30.
No, normally it's 4:45.
Looks like it's carrying some coal, doesn't it?
It does.
Point standings through one event. John King having a little bit of an issue here at this racetrack. Maybe not as good as he was to start off the season.
These point standings are going to get all jumbled up after this race. A lot of guys that had some issues at Daytona are running up toward the front. John King has been able to fight his way and stay on the lead lap. He's back in the 18th spot, so he's surviving, Phil. And I know on this short, tight track, so much different than where you had success at Daytona, that's important to be able to
certainly is.
Scrape and grab everything you can. We're coming up on halfway. He's been able to stay on the lead lap. I'm impressed with John.
Yeah, if he could just come out of here with a top 15, I think he would be just fine.
Matt Crafton, he used this pit stop or this caution flag to come to pit road like we suggested. Did a little bit of work on that truck.
How about our next race at Rockingham Speedway in a couple weeks?
Can't wait. One of the most fun tracks in NASCAR that I ever drove. Slip and slide, high banks, lots of speed. It's going to be fun to watch these trucks race at Rockingham Speedway.
That's April 15th when we return to The Rock
for the Good Sam Club 200.
Yeah, and going to be able to overcome that difficult racing surface.
Anybody from that area needs to come out and support that race, and if you're not from that area, you can get there, do it anyway.
That's right.
Kasey Kane's coming all the way from Texas.
I'm gonna come with him.
Rockingham.com for your more details on that, and for more details on the 2, we go to Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, all of us were quite surprised last year when we found out that Kevin Harvick Incorporated was going to close its doors, one of the most successful programs in the history of Camping World Trucks. Well, most of that equipment got sold to Eddie Sharp and Eddie Sharp Racing. They've got a good run going today with Lofton back in 6th and Cale Gale running in 7th. But the truck that Kevin Harvick is driving today is an RCR entry, but it's actually an old KHI truck. And they had only 2 teams running full-time at RCR, so they needed some equipment. So some of the old Kevin Harvick equipment actually came to Richard Childress Racing. And this is chassis number 58, one of the last trucks that they built last year. And Ron Hornaday ran this on most of the flat tracks last year with a great deal of success. And Kevin said it is absolutely perfect today. Don't make any more adjustments the rest of the day. We'll put on one more set of tires, but leave it just like it is.
The reason why we're continuing under caution, they had to tow the 15 off of the track just moments ago. So as soon as they when that truck behind the wall, now they're letting them know that next time by we'll go back to racing.
You know, the thing I loved about Kevin Harvick and his team, when they announced that they were going out of business, they kept building new trucks. I mean, they would come with new trucks because that's how desperately they wanted to be competitive, and they won the Owners' Championship last year with that 2 truck.
American ethanol. Ford called ethanol the fuel from vegetation and the fuel of the future because it was non-toxic and made from waste surplus. Forward thinker that Ford was.
HF1.
Yes.
And Tom T. Hall saying old dogs and children and watermelon wine is my watermelon factory.
I appreciate that fact. I also appreciate the fact green flag back in the air. Kevin Harvick in front of Ty Dillon once they cross the stripe.
James Buescher going to try to run that outside. Now he would love to get a little bit of grip there and get in front of Ty Dillon.
Stay side by side. Ty Dillon has the 17 of Timothy Peters behind him, so no place for Buescher to fit in, but he makes a spot.
Makes a hole. Now look at him, 3 wide coming down the front straightaway. That's Ron Hornaday on the inside of 3 wide.
John West Townley on the outside in the 09, hanging on to it as they go down the back stretch. Now it's 2 by 2.
You're just like you're on ice when you're out there on the marbles, that rubber that builds up outside of the 2 grooves that we run in.
Coming up on the halfway point of this race, again 250 scheduled laps. We're about to get to 125. 4 cautions up to this point. Most recently was the 15, stalled on the front stretch, and now across the stripe, 1 to go to halfway.
Good battle there. There's Miguel Paludo on the inside of Jason Leffler. Nelson Piquet Jr., the 30 truck, teammate to Miguel Paludo in the 33 in that battle as well, along with Max Gresham, who's doing a nice job up in the top 15.
And Michael, at the beginning of this race, we talked about Nelson Piquet Jr. and how he was so good in practice, but he was relegated back in the 20s, and we said, okay, he's not going to end up with a good finishing position because he's going to get lapped early, but he has been able to maintain a consistent run now up into the top 15.
Yeah, and he's brought Max Gresham along with him as well. Max didn't have a very good day here yesterday, but as this race has unfolded, he's been able to pick up spots racing inside the top 15. That's impressive for both these cats.
Certainly good credentials for Max Gresham. He is our reigning K&N Pro Series East Division champion for 2011.
And Max is holding off John King and David Rudiman. They're running in 15th and 16th right behind Max. So heavy battling going on behind Max. He's got a little bit of a gap to those guys, but Rudiman's been all over John King.
Rudiman ducks to the inside, wanted to get out of the mirror of John King. Here's Ron Hornaday, moves to the inside of Jeb Burton. Ron Hornaday now up to the 22nd spot. Remember, he's the first truck 1 lap down, so he's right now hoping for a caution flag right now.
Jeb Burton just behind him.
And then that gives him the other half of the race, Phil, to try to drive up through these guys and get a top 5 finish. I think maybe at this point it would be pretty safe to say Ron can't win this race. You can't come from a lap back and beat Kevin Harvick, can you?
Remember when we talked about that's Kevin Harvick now. But remember last year we talked about Kevin Harvick. He went 2 laps down, so no way could he finish in the top 10. He gets both laps back and finishes 4th.
Well, that's unusual.
Yeah, it is unusual. That was Kevin Harvick.
That was Kevin Harvick. He's special. He's amazing here.
The Hot Honey's number 13. Currently running in the 6th spot, just behind him. Todd Bodine running 7.
Look at that speed. These trucks are so fast on this little half-miler. They go flying down the front straightaway and have to make that tight left-hand turn. Man, I love this place.
Hard on the brakes. We heard a couple drivers talking about having to turn their fans off. That's exactly what you don't want to do to try to keep the bead cool, like we talked about with Joey Coulter melting the bead on his right front tire.
You know, you get a little bit of a gap, like Johnny Sauter right now has a little bit of gap to Justin Lofton in front of him. You can back off the throttle a little bit easier, not use quite as much brake, but if you do that too often, then the guy behind you is going to stick his nose. In this case, Todd Bodine, he's going to stick his nose out knowing you're backing off a couple truck lengths earlier and dive to the inside.
And you're just looking for a little bit of a break. You know, you just don't want to use your brakes so hard. You want to try to take care of your tires. Next thing you know, the guy behind you, he doesn't have that same agenda, and he's all over your tailgate.
Kevin Harvick with a 0.8 of a second lead over Ty Dillon.
They're running some fast laps right now. That last lap Kevin Harvick ran was a 20.57. That's only 0.4 of a second off his fastest lap of the race. And we're 133 laps into this race, and they have 60 laps on the tires.
Harvick, Dillon, Buescher, Peters, and Lofton. Your top 5. Sauter just outside. Coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. And by Sleep In. Dream better here. Book now at sleepin.com. 141 laps in the books, and it has been Kevin Harvick. 142 now. 108 laps to go. Ty Dillon, running in the second spot, has had a very impressive first showing here in the trucks at Martinsville.
Wow. He's had a very impressive start to his truck's career, dating back to the few races he ran last fall and stepping into this truck at Daytona, working his way through what looked like a minefield for him most all night, winding up with a top 10 finish, and now just steady today. Started right up front and then stayed right there.
While we were at break, this took place. Todd Bodine to the inside of Johnny Sauter.
Yeah, Todd had been all over. We talked about Johnny Sauter and Todd Bodine racing. Todd had been all over the back of Johnny Sauter. Finally worked his way to the inside. Todd moved up now to the 6th spot. Good effort here for Todd Bodine and Red Horse Racing.
Good start to the season for Red Horse Racing. All having good runs at Daytona.
Yeah, all 3 trucks in the top 6 at Daytona.
Now they've got Timothy Peters running 4th here. Todd Bodine in the 6th spot. John King back there in 17th, still on the lead lap. 21 trucks on the lead lap.
Ron Hornaday sitting in that lucky dog position, Phil, but he's going to need that caution to come pretty soon because Jake Crum is back in the 21st spot, the last truck a lap down, and he's about, or last truck on the lead lap. He's going to go down a lap here before long. That'll put Ron out of business.
He's only about 3 seconds in front of Kevin Harvick. You see Jason Leffler right there. He's pretty ho-hum day so far. Started 12th, right now running 13th, running right behind the 32 of Miguel Paludo.
And there comes Max Gresham. We talked about Max. He's just getting better and better, and he's about to drive up on this battle here for the 12th spot between Paludo and Leffler. Another rear end gear, looks like.
Another rear end gear is going to be burned up. Looks like Ryan Siegs.
Got fire underneath the truck. That's why the safety crews are there.
That's how hot that grease gets.
Right there by the exhaust as well. So a lot of heat generated on the right side of those trucks.
They're going to have to stay right there because that'll flare up again. That grease as it leaks out. You burn a gear up and the parts start galling together, and then it breaks something in the case, and that grease will pour out.
Miguel Paludo just in front of Jason Leffler. Max Gresham behind them. That Dollar General truck owned by Kyle Busch Motorsports.
About 100 laps to go right now, Michael. We talked about the fact that if Ron Hornaday was able to get his lap back, get the lucky dog if the caution would come out, he would have 100 laps. But as every lap ticks by, he has a little bit more of a sense of urgency, because you mentioned it's safe to say that he's probably not going to be able to win this race because he's a lap down, 100 laps to go, even though he's going to, even though he gets a lap back.
Ron Hornaday was running 4th when he turned coming out of turn number 4, and so that relegated him back. He came onto pit road. They made a stop, put him back in the 20s.
Then he lost that battery, wound up losing a lap, and it's been quite the day that started off with a real good look to it for Ron has been downhill ever since.
A little bit of promise early on in qualifying after qualifying 5th. Yeah, tough day for the 39 as well. Monday night, head to the center of NASCAR country with NASCAR Race Hub. Tune in as we recap beating and banging from Martinsville. Plus, catch up on the latest breaking NASCAR news. NASCAR Race Hub Monday at 6 and 11 Eastern, only on Speed. 5th caution has come out. This time, it is for veteran David Starr. The right rear tire down on that truck. He was around in turn 2.
We had noticed that he was free falling. A lot of trucks have been able to get by him. You can see right now that right rear is down. Almost flight. He does a nice job keeping that truck out of the outside wall. Unfortunately, he lost a lap, and
that's his unfortunate, and it's good fortune for Ron Hornaday. We talked about him needing to get that caution pretty soon because Jake Crum was about to lose a lap, and that would have put Ron out of the lucky dog spot. He got that caution. He can come to pit road, work on his truck, and be back on the lead lap. Aaron's giving Ron Hornaday that lucky dog.
We'll have to start from the tail end, though, because of getting the lucky dog, but that's a whole lot better than being a lap down.
Here comes race leader Kevin Harvick. It looks as though tire management's coming into play as we have 91 laps to go, and the trucks are making their way onto pit road. Hermie.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter's coming to pit road in the 13th truck. A little bit of a brake issue, not the braking he would like. His truck's been a little bit tight in the center. They're going to take 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Also, James Buescher, his truck has also been tightly centered, but really fighting forward fight as well. They'll also take 4 tires, 1 pound out of the right rear. Ray?
Ernie, at the top of your screen, you see that Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. Ty Dillon said it's perfect. Leave it just like it is. And Scott Nassett, his crew chief, wanted to go with 2 tires. They wanted left sides, but Richard Childress says you can't win with that. You got to get 4. Here goes Harvick with 4, and they're going to go back on the change of their track bar. They had dropped it last time. They'll raise it back up, put his truck where it was. The 2 will be first off pit road, then Dillon, then Buescher.
Good news for Kevin Harvick. His teammate comes off pit road, so they will have the same plan when they get ready to restart this race.
It's great news for Ty Dillon because he's going to get that 2nd spot without having to fight for it with James Buescher.
Todd Bodine makes it up into the top 5. Tire, an issue there.
Hot.
Green flag just came out. The truck's rocketing down the backstretch here at Martinsville, and it was the same as the other 5 starts we have seen today. Ty Dillon on the inside, Harvick on the outside. Dillon allowing Harvick to take the spot up in front, and falling right in behind that 3 of Austin Dillon. Normally James Buescher. This time it's Justin Lofton that's got that spot.
Great strong run by Justin Lofton all day long. Just solid after that 3rd place run at Daytona a few weeks ago.
And the way he ended 2011, I just love what I saw from Lofton and that team, and it's continuing today. He's fast.
Riding along there with Johnny Sauter momentarily as we see that 08 of Ross Chastain trying to run the outside line. Cale Gill on the inside.
Thinking 2 tires with Ross Chastain probably to get him up in the top 10.
Yeah, that kid's a competitor though, Phil. You give him a little bit of track position, he knows how to drive the heck out of that watermelon truck.
Slides in behind Cale Gill.
Cale Gill's another one of those trucks, that Ream Chevrolet with a solid run. Up in the top 10 all race long.
Yep. Very solid, and that's a good sign for a new combination like those guys have going on. You can run up front in the top 10 here at Martinsville, Phil. I'm going to
do it anywhere.
I'm going to bet you can do it anywhere all year long.
Ray, what's happening with the tire issue?
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, what I've seen down here is the left rears really seem to be going away a lot on these trucks. Our first last set of pit stops was at 78. We came in there at 160. So that means those guys went about 80 laps on those tires. Well, if this is their last tire change, that means we're going to have to run 90. So a lot of these guys are going to be slipping inside, and what I've seen is left sides seem to be wearing a lot more than the rights.
That's a great point. They're going to have to run a little bit farther on this set of tires than they did the last set.
Look at this battlefield. David Rudeman and Jeb Burton have been all over one another. Burton's making it work on the outside, and Ron Hornaday's watching on, and I'm sure he's been entertained by those 2, but they've worked it out. I didn't know they'd be able to get bumper to bumper without one of them being backwards beforehand.
Ron Hornaday now is back up in the lead lap. He knows that he needs to pick these spots up as quick as he can. There's Matt Crafton working his way around Max Gresham. That puts Matt up to the 15th spot.
Matt hadn't made a run through him like he had hoped once he got his errands, lucky dog. He's only 3 trucks ahead of Hornaday. He got his. I think maybe he's got his.
Yeah, we saw it.
Crafton saying just shut off.
This may go back to that battery issue, and again probably is led by the alternator or caused by the alternator. See, at least his telemetry is working properly. You see him down to about 4,500 RPMs in the center of the corner, lowest RPMs, then upwards of 8,500. There's 85 is exactly what he saw on the backstretch.
What would you guess, Phil? Down to around 70, 60, 50 miles an hour in the center of the turn and up to 120 or 30?
I'd say something like that, exactly.
Can you imagine that in a pickup truck?
And how long are these straightaways?
800
feet. So you go from about 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour up to 120 in the space of that distance.
I'm going to bet your pickup truck at home won't do that.
Absolutely not.
4 bow ties, the top 4 trucks right now. Harvick, Dillon, Lofton, and Buescher. We talked a little bit about Justin Lofton. A very good run for him here at Martinsville as he's holding on to that 3rd spot.
And look at how these leaders have been able to keep pace with Kevin Harvick. Early in the race, he put a straightaway on these guys. Now it seems like the adjustments that the 3 of Ty Dillon and the 6 of Justin Lofton, those crews have made, have given them the speed to stay with Kevin.
Last couple laps, Ty Dillon has actually been a little bit quicker than Kevin Harvick, just a couple hundredths of a second, but nonetheless a little bit quicker.
If you're Ty Dillon, what are you learning right now from a veteran like Kevin Harvick to figure out how you win this race?
He's put so much in the bank today as far as knowledge, the restarts, how Kevin likes to work with you if you have a fast truck. He's also been able to watch his line and see where Kevin's braking and letting off. And the closer he can stay to him, Phil, the more he's going to learn.
One thing I've noticed for Ty, as we see these trucks, and we saw it during qualifying, where the front end is really raised up as they go down the straightaway and they get down to the corner. A lot of trucks slam to the ground. Look how gradually Ty's truck came to the ground. He's not slamming on the brakes.
That's a combination of him knowing how to control his truck and his team putting a good setup under him.
A great lesson being given to quite a few drivers today by Kevin Harvick. Welcome back. It's Kevin Harvick still out in front of Ty Dillon. Then it's Justin Lofton, James Buescher, Timothy Peters, Todd Bodine, Johnny Sauter back there in the 7th spot. And even though running in the top 10, he is still not happy with his truck, and he let his crew know about it. Listen.
Garbage. We're about to put it on the trailer. Not that bad. Don't turn.
Garbage, put it on the trailer, running 7th.
A little bit of contact right there. He lets Todd know that he's behind him. Now he's going to move the inside, thinking that Todd may let him have that spot.
We heard from Johnny just a moment ago that he had warned Todd all he's going to warn him.
This is a slippery slope right here now. Johnny got in the back of Todd a couple times.
Johnny is out of there, though. He's faster than Todd. One turn's all you need.
About 1.5.
All you need is one good turn to get away from a guy that you rough up, and he's going to forget it after that. He might as well forget it.
Yeah.
You mean Todd Bodine's going to forget that?
He might as well.
At least for the time being. At least for the time being.
Okay. I know you drivers. You don't forget anything.
Right now, Todd will be have a little bit of concern for Cale Gale behind him. Remember, we saw before the caution flag, Todd get by Johnny Sauter. Obviously, Joe Shear and his guys made some adjustments, made that 13 truck a little bit better.
Parker Kligerman just in front of Jason Leffler. Kligerman running 11th, Leffler 12th.
Ross Chastain has been able to jump up into the top 10 or stay in the top 10 after some pit strategy.
Yeah, he's been running strongly just ahead of these two.
And another driver that's also has broken into the top 10, Nelson Piquet Jr. We talked about him and how he would have to work his way up, and he has done exactly that.
All over the back of the 33 of Cale Gale.
I've been very impressed with Nelson Piquet Jr. After the Daytona race, he actually ran a K&N Pro Series race and won that race.
At Bristol, did a nice job. Had a great spirited battle with Ryan Blaney, Dave's son, towards the end of that race. Held him off on a green and white checker finish. We'll have a lot of K&N Pro Series action on speed throughout the course of the year, both east and west.
See Parker Kligerman moving to the inside of the 99 of Brian Silas.
Travis Pastrana has joined that race for the championship in the East Series field, seeing what he can do over here in the stock car world. So I think it's cool for NASCAR to have Travis on board.
What did Travis think about Bristol?
He didn't think that he would get dizzy, and he found out really fast that he did. He jumps over stuff and goes through stuff. He said, how tough can it be? He called me afterwards. He said, I don't know how y'all do that. But he's learning. He's having fun and part of the NASCAR landscape. I love all the energy we have around the sport, whether it's from Natalie Sather, who was here this weekend, all the diversity drivers that are joining us. Got a lot of good things going on.
A lot of good things going on for Kevin Harvick. They continue here at Martinsville. You know, Joe Ruttman won the first ever NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race at Martinsville Speedway on September 25th, 1995. Our American Ethanol Fast Fact.
Led only 2 laps in that race.
Last 2 laps, I think he was able to get by Jeff Bodine. And Mike Skinner finished second in that race.
You know, that's Troy Ruttman, the Indy 500 winner's brother, Joe is. Did you know that? Yeah.
We're always wanting to give important facts out there. Michael, have you got another important fact?
Yeah, Tracy Byrd sang the watermelon crawl.
There you go. Another important watermelon fact.
We're going ethanol and watermelon. You don't think you could make ethanol with watermelon? That's corn, right?
Well, 92% of watermelon is water.
That's not going to work.
No. Johnny Sauter moves up into the top 5.
All over the back of this College Complete Chevrolet of Justin Lofton. Justin had such a strong run this entire race.
I bet that team's glad they didn't just put it on the trailer. He's racing for a top 5 finish now. That's how you win a championship. You take a truck that you don't think is worthy of even being in the race and running in the top 5 with it. That's a pretty major accomplishment.
You know, that audio we had, Michael, was before this last round of pit stops. I think Joe Scheer tuned him up a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, that's some good pit work. And, you know, you only get a couple of stabs at it, Phil. You come to pit road. Like I said, you want to do something you can do quickly, too. You have to do it almost with air pressure, maybe a turn on the track bar, but that's it. You can't be pulling rubbers and putting rubbers in the rear springs to change their rate because it just takes too long.
Takes too much time on pit road, lose too many spots.
Let's take a closer look at our top 10. We'll go through the field. We start with Ray.
Well, we'll start out with Kevin Harvick. He's got 2 wins here at Martinsville, and both of those have come in the spring race. He has run a number of times in the fall, and the bad news for the competition is he'll be back in this number 2 truck when we come here in the fall again this year. Austin Dillon handed over the reins to his younger brother Ty, and he is picking up right where that 3 truck was a year ago. Dillon running second, even though they weren't very good in practice, and he is learning a lot from watching the line that he has watched Kevin Harvick run around this Martinsville Speedway. Now let's check in on the 31 with Hermie.
Well, Ray, James Buescher's had a really solid day on the racetrack and on pit road. Solid pit stops. His truck is still a little bit tight, but they're still working on it. He's got what he's got for right now. The best it's been all day. They're hoping to settle in and get him a top 10 finish out of this day. Now, Johnny Sauter, we've heard him talking on the radio. He wanted to put this thing on the truck. Well, as you said, glad he's not. He's the best he's been all day. A little bit loose on the exit of the corner for right now for Johnny Sauter. Justin Lofton as well has been solid all day long. Same trouble as basically James Buescher, tight through the center, but they've been afraid to free it up too much in the center because it hurts his forward bite. So Justin Lofton right now holding on to a top 5 position. Ray?
Timothy Peters in that number 17 back in 6th spot right now. He started 3rd today, but they've had to make a lot of adjustments on the pit stops. The last 2 times that he's come in, they've lost a couple of spots in the pits because of all the things they were trying to do to make the changes on the truck. And Todd Bodine runs in 7th, right, Hermie?
Yes, Ray, Todd Bodine in 7th position right now. Had a pretty good day. On a long run, he loses forward bite in this 11 Toyota. So they don't have it perfect, but Todd Bodine still looking for that first ever short track victory. He's got to get a little more forward bite to get it done, right?
Cale Gale had the thrill of his life winning in the ARCA series at Mobile Speedway, his hometown. The place went crazy after that victory, and he said he's been carrying that momentum with him for sure. But today, all the changes they've made on that number 33 have actually made it worse. He said they just cannot get up off of the corner. He is struggling to steer that thing all throughout the day today. How about the Nelson Piquet truck who's running 9th?
Well, he just got up to that 9th position, Ray, and he's holding on to a loose truck. Has been since the last time they were on pit road, but he's not as bad off of turn 2, but off of turn 4 cannot get the forward bite, which makes it difficult to pass trucks on this racetrack. Jason Leffler, another driver, really needing a good run. They got really tight on the run before last, but made some improvements to the 18 on this run, and he's driving his way back up into the top 10 is Jason Leffler.
Great job, guys, getting us through the top 10. Again, Harvick out in front. He's got about a 1.5-second lead over Ty Dillon, who's been running second pretty much the whole race.
You know what the guys were talking about is what these truck drivers would like to change on their trucks. They've got what they've got right now. We're only, 36 laps from the end of this race. You cannot give up the track position and come to pit road. Even if the caution were to come out right now, I don't think that any of the trucks up in the top 7 or 8 positions can stop, can they?
They're not coming.
Hard to catch Kevin Harvick as he runs away from the field. Tomorrow, immediately following the Cup race from right here in Martinsville, turn to speed for NASCAR Victory Lane. Celebrate with the winner and get the ultimate race recap from Martinsville. NASCAR Victory Lane after the race right here on Speed. Problems for the 11 of Todd Bodine. The right front tire goes down on that truck.
Looks like it's got the sway bar too, Phil. You see the left front of that truck up in the air. He probably ground the sway bar off when that tire blew out right there.
Did you see that pressure from that? Yeah, now his sway bar is broke, as you mentioned, so he's just gonna have to limp around here the rest of the race. Everybody does a nice job avoiding him when that tire went down. Watch this truck when he goes down to the corner, though.
The trucks are set up predominantly with that front sway bar. The way the whole setup works is because that bar ties it down. You take it off, you can't drive the thing.
Even a short racetrack like this, it's a huge sway bar, way bigger than we used to run back in the day.
I thought someone was putting an axle in there the first time I saw somebody put a sway bar in these days.
Ray, what's going on with the 18 team?
Well, Ross Chastain in the 08 is running 10th, and he's right behind Leffler. And he said his windshield is absolutely covered. So there is apparently some kind of fluid coming out of that Dollar General Toyota. Chastain said, I got to drop way back or I'm not even going to be able to see. So we need to keep our eye on it. And a good bit of damage on the front end there. Looks like Jason may have gotten into a few people. And over in turn 2, we just saw the 22 of Joey Coulter get way high up on the racetrack.
Yeah, Joey Coulter almost into the wall coming out of turn number 2.
Another right front tire there. So could be interesting to see how this thing lines up here with just 25 laps to go. Can these guys make it to the end on these right front tires?
Caution comes out, so we will have a reset point. Everyone will be able to catch their breath. David Rudiman in the 92, the right front tire down on that truck as well.
I think we found out how long the right front tires were going to last here. What do you think? And again, it's not an indictment on Goodyear. We've got a lot of brake heat here, a lot of bead temperature. But we saw 3 right front tires go down within the space of about 5 laps.
Top Bodine in the 11, he had a tire issue. Then you see the 22 of Joey Coulter, also a tire issue. That didn't bring the caution out until the 92 of David Rudiman, also with a tire issue.
Yeah, Joey Coulter's second flat right front tire was far enough around in the corner he was able to get that truck stopped. The other one happened right when he loaded up that right front tire going in turn number 3. That's when he made contact with the outside wall. You see pit road open. None of the leaders are coming.
And that's probably making Ty Dillon wonder. You got to think those trucks are set up somewhat similar. Ty Dillon wonder, is my right front tire going to make it to the end?
How about Kevin Harvick?
And Kevin Harvick as well. True.
Well, Kevin Harvick, being a veteran at this racetrack, probably knows how to manage his brakes. Ty Dillon might not be running the same way as Kevin Harvick is, so there might be a little question mark in Ty Dillon's head.
He's been running a pretty smart race. We watched him. We watched that thing not slamming down, him jamming on the brakes that hard, and I'm sure he's been coached too. They know that we've lost some right front tires, so he's been coached to ease up on those brakes.
Inside of 22 laps to go. Pop, pop. Probably talking to Ty Dillon right now on that radio. Just for Men Auto Stop. Here is today's fastest pit stop presented by Auto Stop. This was back on lap 160. Kevin Harvick coming in as your leader.
Pretty flawless all day long on pit road as well as on the racetrack for Kevin Harvick.
Just for Men Auto Stop, this team has been automatic. They come in first and left in first. So great job all around for this whole organization today.
Led all but 4 laps in this race, and 2 of those laps were when he let the 3 go by, and the other 2 were when the 18 was able to lead. Actually, the 18 did not lead.
Right. It was just
bad information. Just that one time with Ty Dillon,
when he opted to allow Ty Dillon to go around. So that's the only time that anyone has been out front other than Kevin Harvick.
And look at this. The left front control arm, it looked like they were up under, they opened the hood, it was broke on that truck.
You see the spindle and all that brake caliper and the brake rotor. They all took that off so they can replace that upper control arm, but that's pretty much going to end his day. He may get back on the racetrack, but he's going to finish at the very low end of the 20s.
Yeah, only 18 laps remaining.
Watch up here. Watch up here. That's the area that he's going to reach in and grab that upper control arm. It should be fastened to the frame. And he reached up in there and grabbed that thing.
Quickly saw that there was serious damage and had to get that truck behind the wall.
So after running in the 4th spot, the caution comes out. Johnny Sauter stops on pit road, and they see after lifting the hood that he has major damage. Guys up front, a little communication between the two.
At 31 and 6, that guy's going to get really hard and racy and bumpy and all. Just be on your toes here. Kevin, work with him.
Hey, I ain't worried about anybody behind me, all right? Folks down front. Don't care about them.
Okay, 10-4.
Now, I said the two were communicating. They can't talk to each other. But they're talking through Richard Childress right now.
And you know what I am concerned a little bit about is if if Ty Dillon lets Harvick jump, can Buescher get a run to the inside and make it 3 wide? We'll see. Because he doesn't go right when Kevin does. It might give James a chance.
He's going to try. He's going to try.
15 laps remaining.
He got in the back of Ty Dillon, pushed him up the racetrack. That puts Buescher down to the inside now. Ty drives it hard down in turn number 3. Let's see if he can stay on the bottom. He does.
Oh, we got
trouble behind.
And around in turn 4, Max Gresham in the 24 is around. The caution hasn't come out yet.
Got a caution.
There it is now. Jeb Burton caught up in this as well.
What a Newberry with a tremendous amount of damage. He worked his way back on the lead lap. Got a lucky dog.
That start went crazy, just like I expected it would. And what Ty did was when he got to turn 1, he just went in there so deep because he didn't get the start that he wanted. He slid up the hill. That gave the edge to Buescher on the inside. But man, what a great job Ty Dillon did when he got down to turn 3. He dove that thing in there hard, like you said, Phil. He made it stick. I thought he'd go sliding up again.
I thought there may have been a little contact down in turn number 1, Michael. You don't think so? You don't think he had any help being shoved to the outside?
I think he just drove down in there because he knew he needed to make up some ground. James was all over the back of him. They might have gotten together. I couldn't really tell, but I don't think so.
That's turn 3. This is the issue. Gresham in the 24 around. You see the 32 sideways, but able to straighten back out. That's the Miguel Paludo.
There might have been contact between Miguel Paludo and the 32 and the 24 Max Gresham. Let's see what happens with it. You see, it's just stacked up there. They're all into each other. And it looks like maybe Miguel Paludo may have got into Max Gresham just a little bit, but he was being pushed from behind by John King, and he was being pushed from behind as well.
Yeah,
Parker Kligerman, I think.
Parker Kligerman has front end damage, and he had just been on pit road.
Watch these guys all try to
pretty good up here
get in the same space. Wow, John West Townley clobbers.
Go low now, go to the middle.
I believe in the Holly. Look at all the damage to the 14 of Brennan Newberry.
Now you see on these restarts, James Buescher knows that Ty Dillon is going to let Harvick go, so he's got a good jump here. Gets a jump, looks to the inside.
See if there's any contact here, Michael.
Not, maybe a little bit.
Might have been a little bit, but Ty looked like he got a little bit loose, whether that was from contact or, as you mentioned, trying to drive in there so hard to keep Buescher behind him.
Watch him go in this corner, though, deep in the turn, and he makes it work.
Take a look at this. That was the 9 of Ron Hornaday. He was not in position. Now, this is on the initial restart here.
He's been posted to come to pit road. So we're going to stay right here. That wreck's going to happen right in front of him. Max Gresham has 2 trucks in front of him. See him get all stacked up there. There's Paludo.
Oh, and Jeb just couldn't get that truck turned to get his way underneath Gresham, and the cost Jeb. Look at the smoke on
Paludo's truck.
Yep.
Is that left front tires down?
Yeah, left front tires down. Ron Hornaday will have to restart this race from the tail end, and we will have probably inside of 10 laps to go when we restart this race.
Paludo got turned around and then was corrected by the same truck. We saw that happen earlier where the truck got sideways and then straightened back out once again. But you see the damage to the left front tire and a lot of damage to the 29 of Parker Kligerman.
Just a chain reaction, and the farther back you go, the worse it usually gets.
You give these race drivers any advantage at all, and they're going to use it. And that's what Buescher did on that start. He knew Ty wasn't going, so he jumped. He's got that same knowledge now, Phil. Ty's not going to beat the 2 truck of Kevin Harvick down into turn 1. So that means there's a window of opportunity. And all you need is just a little window, and you're going to cram your nose in there and try to open it.
So I think right now it's up to Ty Dillon to alter his restart a little bit. So maybe let Kevin Harvick go earlier and then try to keep that 31 behind him. But James Buescher's thinking the same thing. I know what he's going to do, and I'm going to get him this time.
Closing in on inside of 10 laps of racing to go for the trucks at Martinsville. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World in Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. And by Toyota Auto Care. Those of you tuning in for the Rolex Sports Car Series, that will follow us immediately after this race is over.
I would say stay tuned for that, because those guys like to beat and bang about like these truck drivers do. You want action, you got it right here on Speed.
It could be
They did
crazy.
it for 24 hours in Daytona.
It might be almost as crazy as what this one has been like. Ray, what's going on with that 33?
Well, they just had to pit for a flat tire, and I just looked at the tire. They ran over a big piece of debris, but Cale Gill's going to give up a top 10. I think he was running 6th when he came to the pits.
Pace truck has made its way onto pit road when they come back by the stripes. 6 laps of racing to go. Ty Dillon on the inside. Kevin Harvick on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Watch Buescher now. Watch Buescher. Ty did a great job staying right next to Harvick, who Lofton gets shoved up the hill. There may lose a spot to Timothy Peters. Now he gets back in line.
Look at how deep Ty Dillon drives into turn 3. Gets that truck to stop, aims it the other way. Great start by our front row.
This time by 5 laps of racing to go. Kevin Harvick has led all but 2 laps of this race. If he leads the remaining laps, he will have led 248 laps. That will be more than any other driver has ever led in the history of the Camping World Truck Series.
See a little bit of contact back there. J.R. Fitzpatrick, Miguel Paludo making contact. Not when you start pushing and shoving here inside of 10 laps to go.
This thing has a green-white checkered written all over it, the way these guys are aggressively running each other. Our top 10 got all jumbled up with that spin down in turn 4.
Nelson Piquet working to the inside of that 0-8, trying to get by Ross Chastain. Looks like he's going to make the pass.
Ross gets back in line in front of Jason White. Now Kligerman moves to the inside of John King. No room there that time.
Next time by 2 laps of racing from Martinsville. A great run by Nelson Piquet Jr. He's up to the 7th spot. Very impressive performances out of Kevin Harvick, Ty Dillon, James Buescher, Justin Lofton, Timothy Peters, all running in the top 5.
Now what Kevin Harvick hopes is they can get back to the start finish line to take the white flag. If they take the white flag before something happens, that will be the last lap.
Coming out of turn 4, Kevin Harvick sees the white flag, takes the white flag, a half a mile to go at Martinsville.
Clean so far on this last lap.
Harvick down the backstretch. Ty Dillon 10 truck lengths behind him. Coming through 3 and 4. The dominant truck, a record breaker. Kevin Harvick leads 248 laps in this win.
What a dominant performance by that RCR team there, Kevin Harvick.
We must admit we saw this one coming.
Good job, guys. Great job, Kevin. Marcus, how about that win, buddy? Congratulations.
This is the 14th win for Kevin Harvick. He has won 4 poles, and all 4 times he has went on to win the race.
He's predictable. He starts first and finishes first. This is the most dominant performance we've seen out of him or anybody in the history of the series, leading 248 of 50 laps.
Kevin's going to celebrate on the racetrack. Let's go to the pit stall with Ray Dunlap.
Well, let's talk to his crew chief, Marcus Richmond. When you guys got into the first practice, you ran 8 laps. He said, put her on jack stands. It was about perfect. You had her on rails today. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. I want to dedicate this win to Frankie Allen. He was a hard worker here with 2 trucks. This Ty Chevrolet was awesome off the trailer, man. It's just unreal. This whole group, the 22, everybody worked together. All of our setup was very close. I just want to thank everybody at RCR for the opportunity. And, man, well, Kevin Harvick, you better win.
Congratulations. I think there's more of those coming this year, guys.
What a dominant performance by Kevin Harvick.
In all of RCR, we had Ty Dillon, who had never been here in the truck, obviously only 4 starts previously in his career in Truck Series, and comes here and finishes second on a very difficult racetrack, and there he is right there.
Ty Dillon climbing out of that number 3 truck. Hornaday has been asked to go visit Wayne Otten, the series director.
He's been told to.
He has been told to. That is correct.
I think Ron was upset with somebody. He may go up here and find him right here.
I don't know where he's going.
He's just going to the front of the line there.
Charging up, and they're telling him to slow down, and right by that official. It's been a tough week for the Hornaday family. Again, Lindy losing her mother earlier this week, Ron's wife, and so now Ron, with the little frustrations after the short track run here, will go visit with series director Wayne Auten.
And he may not have been mad at anybody. Right. He may have just been upset with the day he had here. He's being shown finishing 16th, and that's very un-Ron Hornaday-like.
Great run for the 31 of James Buescher. He's standing by with Hermie.
Well, James Buescher, good solid run for you guys. Good on the racetrack, solid in the pits. Tell us about your day.
It definitely was a solid day for us. All the guys at Turner Motorsports did a great job building this truck. We did a lot of testing, myself and my teammates, a few weeks back, and we thought it was going to help us a lot. And I think it did, but what we showed up with wasn't the package we needed. We were really bad in the first practice, and you know, the guys stuck with me. We worked and worked to get the truck good, and it was fast in the second practice. You know, it wasn't there on the scoring monitor because we didn't have a very good qualifying lap, and we got lucky with qualifying today, qualifying with some shade and the track heating up. So, you know, it was a good clean day for us. I've never had such an uneventful Martinsville. So, you know, it was a good day. We started in the top 10 and just worked forward all day long, and just a little dent in the grill, and we'll bring it back next time.
That's James Buescher. He comes home third. Ray, you're in victory lane.
Yeah, and here comes Kevin Harvick, and I have a feeling there's going to be a few Budweisers flying in the air. Yep. Some Tide on top of the truck. Tide Chevrolet, Kevin, was on rails. I have a feeling the driver had a good bit to do with that, but from the very first practice, you guys looked like you were the truck to beat.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody from Kroger and Tide, Ream, everybody who's a part of this program for being a part of it. Brendan, South Point, these guys just did a great job preparing for this race and coming here, and the truck was good right off the trailer. And what else can you say? I told Richard when he leaned in the window, I said, why did I ever start race teams? Can you imagine how many wins we'd have had if we'd never done that? So, but it's a lot of fun. These guys are all a lot of fun. I felt like Dad there with Ty and those guys, and it's great to see everybody working together.
You're talking about a big picture of building a team here and being part of helping too.
Well, you know, I kind of feel responsible for Austin and Ty, at least helping them get to where they want to be, and that's in Cup, and it all starts in the Truck Series and Nationwide Series, and they're both really good and fun to be around.
Another grandfather clock. Kevin Harvick, the dominant truck today. The Tide Chevrolet sits in victory lane once again here at Martinsville.
That is the third win for Kevin Harvick here at Martinsville, tying Dennis Setzer and Mike Skinner for the most wins at this famous track. The Kroger 250 goes to Kevin Harvick.